Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another actually for a new review. Y'all already know, if you watch a couple of my other reviews, I've been going back and forth between whether I wanted to do a review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or not. And you know what? At the last minute, I was about to watch Real Housewives Potomac and get my review going for that. And I was like, you know what? Let me check out Beverly Hills. And I'm glad I did, because Rachel Zoe, for me, saved the episode for me. I'm not really interested in what most of the other women have going on, and to be truthful, a lot of women don't have much going on. Some of them clearly do, but others don't. And overall, I actually did enjoy the episode. And one thing that you just forget at times, especially if you kind of was underwhelmed by the last season. For those who know, I reviewed Beverly Hills last season and I was underwhelmed by how things went. And then the exit of Garcelle, that upset me because the way this cast is still trying to be delusional and treating her, which that's continuing. The way Garcelle was a cast member without being a cast member this episode, and Avi being a cast member too. We'll get into it. But yeah, that was kind of the other reason why I was like, I'm not sure if I really want to continue on with this, because I just don't have any interest in a lot of the women, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I'm glad though that I did watch it, because like Rachel is bringing this energy that I'm enjoying so far. We'll see how that continues throughout the season. And then and I kind of want to see what happens with Sutton now. I do. So yeah, overall it was a good episode. And then also too, even though I did have a delay in reviewing this, I'm kind of glad I held off because the taglines came out today. So we kind of go over that too. Instead of me making a separate video, we could just put it all together. And also too, yeah, I guess the other thing I was going to mention is I always forget when I get annoyed by these shows that the city is another cast member. And Beverly Hills just has something different about it that honestly I want to see. So I was glad that I ended up like watching it after all, just because even though it's overly produced, because that Housewives montage that they started off with, I was like, child, this is so overly produced. But it actually works for this particular franchise because it's Beverly Hills. It's Hollywood. Hollywood is all about a production, a farce, if you will, an illusion. So it tracks and makes sense for it to be overproduced to a certain degree, right? So anyway, without further ado, let's get into first the taglines and then we'll get into the review. Yeah. Okay, so first we have Kyle and hers. Kyle will always somehow mention the town thing. She's always talking about where they live. She is like the queen of the city thing. Similar to like how Giselle's always like word on the street. Anyway. Although I think Giselle has kind of dropped it for a little bit doing that. But anyway. But Kyle's is, in this town, stars come and go, but diamonds last forever. It works for her because she is the Nene of this show. And not necessarily in an entertaining standpoint, but like she is like the original, she's the only original cast member of this show. She's kind of like I'd rather say Vicky. She's Vicky Gunvalson of this show. I don't want to put her in the same category as Nene because Nene's her. No shade. But it makes sense considering that she is the long-standing housewife of this show. And actually, I think currently she is the longest-standing housewife in general right now. That hasn't left her or anything like that. It was Candy, even though Candy was not. She had a long tenure, but she was not an OG because she didn't start. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a thing. But anyway, the next person. So how I rate this? Okay, we're gonna rate this. So I'll give it 6. It's all right. The next one is Rachel Zoe, and her says, "I'll die for fashion, but I'm living for me." Yes, I'm sorry, and maybe I'm biased. I'm gonna give this a 10 because I ain't gonna hold you. I identify with that. I kind of felt that tagline within my spirit. I'll die for fashion, but I am living for me. For those who know my backstory, I've been on the era of me for a minute when it comes to just handling my business and my business only. I'm not even dating or anything like that, just because I have no interest. So like this one, oh, I felt that one. I felt that one in my spirit. So that one's a 10 for me. Okay, so the next is Bose, and she says, "I turn ambition into an art, and I am the masterpiece." Ooh. I'm going to give that one a 9. I'm not mad at it. I like it. I like it a lot. Biasly, Rachel's is still my favorite because I actually feel that one. Like that is, yeah. But that other one, but Bose, I like that one too. I'm not mad at that one. So far, we got some good taglines. Okay. Next is Sutton's. "I may live on the main road, but I will definitely bring main character energy." But I definitely bring main character energy. You know what? And this is the other reason why. Side note. So the other reason why I kind of was struggling on whether I wanted to review this show is Sutton. I am so over Sutton now. Like the way Garcelle was done with her, I was too. And I still am. So like, bear with me. I had to take that bias out of my head when I'm watching the show. And that was the part that I was like, okay, if I can't do it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it or even review. But I will say, with this tagline, girl, you're on point. I'm not mad at it. I'm going to give that an 8. That wasn't bad. Because it plays off of what Dorit said last season. And we already, I'll kind of skip into the review a little bit. Sutton's still is having issues with Dorit. I think they'll always will have issues, but anyway, they are having issues. So this actually tracks that this would be her tagline. Okay, next we'll go with Amanda, who we haven't met yet. So she wasn't in this first episode, so let's just call that out there. "I didn't marry into money, I manifested." I like that one too. I'm going to give that one a 9 because I am trying to manifest it myself, okay? I'm going to give that one a 9. I'm not mad at it. And from the previews of the show, it seems like she's going to be a spitfire. She's going to be butting heads with people. So she might be the one who's bringing the drama, and I'm not mad at it. And then Erica's is next. "Survival is not my story. It's my superpower." I don't love it. I don't love it. Because what is she surviving? I mean, I'm sorry. When it comes to the whole Tom situation and everything that happened with that, it's this to me, and maybe y'all, those who love Erica, I get it. Because I do love her songs, "Expensive to Be Me." I do. I ain't gonna hold you. I do like that song. But this is very tone deaf considering that the circumstances of it all. So I'm kind of like, okay. But if I was to take, let me take that out of the equation. I got to do the same thing I did with Erica as I did to Sutton. Let's remove it. It's still okay. So I'm going to give it, that's a 7. That's all right. Clearly Kyle's still like my least favorite tagline because it's basic. Okay, last but not least, Dorit. "I'm unfiltered, unbothered, and finally unburdened." I'm going to give that one a 7.5. It's not quite an 8 to me, but considering she is going through a divorce right now, and I guess for me, yeah, I get that. I like it. It's all right. It's all right. I'm giving it a 7.5. It's not quite an 8. It's not quite an 8. Anyway. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the taglines. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Let's get into the episode now. Okay, so we are back, and the episode starts off with the classic Housewives montage. We see Erica. This is where I said it was overproduced. Erica got these short shorts on with these like stiletto. It's kind of like a stiletto sneaker situation or a gym shoe situation. Like it has kind of like that gym shoe aesthetic, but it's a stiletto. Like very popular in the mid 2000s. Is definitely giving mid 2000s energy, but well, early 2000s, really early 2000s. I would say it's more of an early 2000s thing. But yeah, early 2000s for sure. But anyway, she is washing her car with this outfit. I was like, girl, you are not washing your car. And then the other montage is Kyle just walking around like her property. And then the other montage that we see is Bose, and she's in the middle of a photo shoot with her brand and everything. And that's kind of the Housewives montage. The first actual scene we have is with Bose getting ready to host Dorit. She's coming over and they're getting caught up. And then we find out, we kind of already knew this, Bose and Dorit, they have been hanging out a lot outside the show. Like they've really developed a friendship. I think they actually do have a friendship, believe it or not. I don't think it's a forced friendship. I think it actually is a friendship. So they have been like hanging out a lot. And Dorit's like, I feel bad. I've been hanging out with you. I forgot to give you your gift. And so she gives her a gift. And it's like a Hermes blanket situation. And Bose loves it. And then we get into the business. One thing I noticed with Bose is she shades Dorit, but she doesn't really shade Dorit. She's being truthful. She's telling the truth about how Dorit's long-winded, because we all know that. And she's like, her voice notes be like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. That is a lot. But anyway, but I get it because I'm long-winded also. And so they're getting caught up, and then we kind of talk about Dorit and PK. And because at this point, Dorit has actually filed for divorce. And so they're not even separated anymore. She filed for divorce. And we found out she filed for divorce immediately when she saw PK kind of canoodling around with, I forgot who it was. This story came out a while ago, but it was a woman who looked very similar to Dorit. I think she was a Dancing with the Stars kind of girl. I think she was one of the dancers or whatever. I forgot. It was something going on with that. Or maybe I might be mixing it up with Mo. Because Mo and PK have been trying, they've been on their whole, like, we're going to try to date everybody situation type of thing. But clearly Mo's doing a better job, because let's be so for real, Mo's attractive. If Mo wanted to sponsor my lifestyle, for those who don't know, because that sounded wild, I have a running joke where I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not, depending on the circumstance. But I'd be joking about how, like, I need someone to finance my lifestyle. This economy is hard, okay? Someone needs to finance it. And if anyone's willing, they can. I'm just not going to do anything too funny for the change, though. I'm not going to hold you. But if you want some arm candy, I'm cute. I could do that. Hello. And I'm fun. And I'm an amazing conversationalist. Take me to the events, twirl me around, and then cut me my check. Not me sounding like a bird on this, but anyway, child. Okay, so but we find out that that's when Dorit actually decides she's going to file for divorce. And so she does. And then we also see that immediately a day or so later on, Jagger, her son, well, their son, had a baseball game, and then we saw the paparazzi picture of them two looking less than happy to be at the baseball game together, because they weren't really together, but they were like in the stands, and it was really, it was kind of awkward. And so Bose is like, yeah, I think that's not cool. The way he's acting is not okay. And Doree's like, you know what? It is what it is. Like, I've had enough, and I'm doing something about it finally. And that's kind of what we get from this scene. And then the other thing we kind of get from this is Doree is slightly disappointed that although Kyle did reach out, she did not reach out right away. And she kind of gave her like a dry, I hope you're doing okay thing. And it's like, Doree, you were on her neck last season. The fact that she reached out and even said anything, I think you need to just understand that that's a baby step. Because last time we knew Kyle didn't reach out to her at all. So it's a baby step, and hopefully this doesn't blow up to be something worse. But I have a feeling the Doree and Kyle of it all is not done, especially based off the previews. But yeah, anyway, moving on. And this next scene, I actually made me miss how Kyle used to be. Kyle has been insufferable on the show for years now, but she was back down to earth. I feel like she was more of herself in this scene, and the reason why is because she was around her daughters. And so we see all of her daughters hanging out, and they're all pretty much grown. Portia's 17, and she's the youngest. So everyone is just looking, and her daughters are gorgeous. Like, everyone is beautiful in this scene, and they're talking about kind of the aftermath of everything that transpired with the separation, because they're not officially divorced yet, as far as we know. They're still separated. But we find out from Kyle that he no longer lives in the bachelorette pad. He actually got him a house not too far away. And he's still outside. But it doesn't bother Kyle anymore. She's like, it is what it is. But then I love this scene because we actually get the POV about how the daughters have been feeling about him being everywhere and kind of being a hoe. And actually, Portia literally said he's being a hoe. I was like, okay. And so we get to hear the opinions of all the women, and it's actually quite cute. And Kyle, I think Kyle is finally, is at a good spot, because she's like, my girls are good, and Sophia and Portia still live there, and I guess Portia goes over to his place more than Sophia does. We didn't hear much with Sophia when it comes to her opinion, but if she's not going over there as much, something tells me she's not really with his behavior. Because all it is just like they just want him to be more discreet. That's all it is. And he's not really trying to be like out there. It's just he's not paying attention. He's just living his life, freely and openly. That's what he's doing. But the reason why this also came up is because Alexia shows up. We find out Alexia is engaged, and we also find out Farrah, who was engaged, is no longer engaged. That got called off. And so they're in the middle of wedding planning, all of them. So that's why they're doing this huddle. And then the subject, which led to the Mo of it all, was can Mo and or Kyle bring a date to this wedding? And they both were like, no. I was like, wow, neither of them could bring a date, but I get it. It's, it's still fresh for the girls, like in real life. Okay. I guess I don't know if I would be okay with it either if my parents separated after. At this point, my parents separate. I'm confused because I'm just like, why at this point? But like, let's say there was for whatever reason, circumstance where my parents would separate. Because my parents have been together for 42 years. And I had a wedding. I don't know how I would feel about it because I don't really get along with As friendly as I am, when it comes to really getting to know me, I kind of don't really love a lot of people. Like, I'm friendly and I come off like I like everybody, but that's not necessarily the truth. I'm just cordial to everyone. I know how I act, like in public, basically. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I think it would just depend on the circumstance, I think. But anyway, that's kind of what we get here. Moving on. Okay, I need to wrap it up. So Rachel Zoe, we see her for the first time. Hey girl, hey. And she goes and pays Kathy Hilton a visit. We find out that she is known, technically found out she's known the Richards and like Hiltons for like a long time. She knows Kyle socially. She knows Kathy a lot more in depth because she became friends with Paris first in the early 2000s, and then became really friendly with Nikki and Kathy shortly after. So it honestly made sense that Kathy was the one who introduced her to the show. And she actually shows up at Kathy's place because Kathy's like, yeah, I'm going to be going to a wedding in Paris. And I think this is actually Sophia's wedding. And like, and so basically Rachel's like assisting with, hold on. Sorry, Chicago. But yeah, so she is assisting Kathy with styling, like what kind of giving her some pointers or whatever, because this is where this is where she is running her resume off for those who don't know. And I am one of those people. I knew she was a bravotv before. I just never watched her old show. Like, she had her own show, which is actually why, I don't know why in my head I was like, why am I not just deciding to tune into this show? Because if the person is good enough to carry their own show, they should be good enough where they will be enjoyable in the ensemble cast, right? Anyway, so she was like, yeah, in her confessional, she's like, hi, I'm Rachel Zoe. I lived here before. as like, I lived on Bravo before. Like, you seen me before. That kind of, I loved it. I just love her swag and I love her energy. But we get her running down her resume of how we got here, how she became the successful woman she is. She started off as a stylist, and then from being a stylist, she just had all these different brands. And she's just that girl. And then we do see a lot of cut flashbacks of her on the show from before that she was on, which also helps with the backstory. So it's one of those things where we're kind of getting a crash course of who is Rachel Zoe. And so this was really what this was. And then we find out, because at this process, I think she actually already got the divorce from Roger, but they're still trying to work things out on what that looks like when it comes to the children. And so she's catching us up with everything with that too. We get a little bit more in depth later on in the episode when it's just her seeing, but we kind of just touch on it here. We mainly run over who she is, and how she knows Kathy and like her in on with this group basically. And yeah, so far, so good. Moving on. Okay, so next, Erica meets up with Kyle at her place. And what is basically about to happen is they are going to then drive to Sutton's, because Sutton's having a luncheon situation. And the thing that we also find out here is they are curious, and they're being messy, asking the questions like, what happened with her? And like Sutton and all of her relationship breakups. And that's really what Sutton's storyline is this season, easily. Garcelle gave her a storyline. You're welcome. You should be saying you're welcome, Sutton. You should. But anyway, but that is pretty much her storyline, is that her relationships and all of them breaking down and the changes that are going on. It's kind of wild. So they're like, okay, we're going to go and see Sutton now. And then they also talk a little bit about how they're going to see Reba, because Reba's there. We find out that Sutton's mom, Reba's there. And Reba, this episode was a Like, she still was feisty, but she was a 180 to me from the last episode. I mean, from the last time we saw her. And I don't know what that is, but it's interesting. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so then we go to Sun's, and Sun is in, planning the party that they're, Erica and Kyle's going to. We also see Reba's playing the piano. And then we find out from Sun that her son is graduating high school. So that's the last kid. She's basically going to be empty nester now. And she tells us that her and Reba are getting along better than ever. And so they've worked hard on their relationship, which honestly, I'm not going to hold you. Son, that's incredibly delayed. I feel like if she would have did that to begin with, maybe her other relationships wouldn't have broken down. Because, I don't know. I find it... And I'm not trying to be judgy. And I'm not trying to sound harsh. But it gives me pause, especially if you're a woman and your relationship with your mom is not great. I mean, and of course it could always be the mom's fault, but like if you don't actually address that and it's just sitting there and you're not doing anything about it, to me it seems like that is going to be much grander obstacle for any of your other relationships to do very well. And it could, but seeing Sudden and how she is, are we surprised now? Considering how she... I mean, Sun is the way she is because of her not, really handling her issues she's had with her mom. I feel like I'm not off in saying that. And also, too, Sun is also the way she is because she is a lot like her mom. And the ironic thing is the parts that she is a lot like her mom are the things she doesn't like about her mom. Or didn't like about her mom last season. We found out during the reunion, I'm like, oh, y'all both have a little slight hinge of the narcissist. Anyway, I'm just gonna say it. I had to say it. It's right. It was right there. I'm gonna say it, but I'm gonna try to keep it cute when it comes to Sudden until I'm not, because Sudden of course upset me this episode. I knew it was going to happen. That's kind of why I was like, I'm not sure if I want to watch or not. But anyway, so Erica and Kyle arrive. Kyle, being messy, is like, so what happened with you and Avi? We find out Avi has been in her life since even before she got the divorce from like Christian, her husband. So that breakup was brutal. She's like, yeah, I lost a friend there, because we know that she's not on good terms. And she was hemming and hawing and not really giving us a tea on what happened there. And even Erica picked up on it, like, yeah, she clearly don't want to talk about it. And she's hemming and hawing around it. Like, she's not really getting into it. And honestly, Avi's relationship breakdown, I think Erica said it. It was either Erica or Kyle. One of them says, like, you didn't really treat him the best. And she didn't. And this is why it puzzles me. Like, the way she treated Avi, she wasn't great towards Garcelle either. Like, Garcelle, it was more of a Garcelle having Sons back. It was never the other way around. Like, ever, really. You know what I mean? So, but then Kyle brings up Garcelle. And she's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. We find out, we already knew this. Sun has not talked to Garcelle at all. Garcelle basically cut her off and goes to her and kept it pushing, which we all, anyone who saw last season, you understand why. And then those who are new to this channel and new to this show, you can watch my reviews. You can watch the 3-part reunion and I break it down. Okay? I'm not going to go right back into it again because it's going to make me mad all over again. It's going to make me want to debate whether I want to watch the show or not, because that really did bother me. Okay. But anyway, so then we also then find out at this lunch, because now they're sitting down, they're actually having the lunch. We find out that Christian, her ex-husband, sends an annulment to the Catholic Church. And someone in the comments, can y'all explain what that even means? Because I'm not Catholic, and I'm sorry, I'm not Googling this to figure it out what all that means. But apparently it makes it where his name no longer, like, it's a control thing, I guess, is what we're getting at. And so then Reba asks, like, because you can tell she's in her 80s, she's like, does that make your children's bastards now? It's like, what happens with that? And I don't, honestly, the way they answer the question, I guess no, but they basically made it where, and she said and he did it under Sutton Brown. And so I was like, ooh, okay. So he basically, Reba said it, she's like, yeah, it's like, it's sending a message that Sutton doesn't matter. Even though Christian, according to Christian, according to Sutton, well, according to what Sutton said, Christian said, is that he thought this will make them closer. It's like, yeah. Honestly, I know we hear Sutton's side of this whole thing, but based off of Sutton's behavior in the recent years, is it bad that I do kind of want to understand his side of the story? Because Sutton just does not seem like the most easiest person to deal with and be around. She seems very exhausting to me. So dealing with that for a very long time, especially her not resolving issues in her own personal life. I mean, she's just now trying to make an attempt to resolve her issues with her mom. Like, these are things where I'm just kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot to that. And what's odd about that whole situation is that her mom is a psychiatrist. So, but I understand it too, because they say people in the medical world are the worst to try to, like, work with as far as, like, them getting help and them diagnosing themselves and whatnot. They're, like, usually the worst because, you know, it's the whole thing. But anyway, and then they kind of talk about Kyle and Dorit, and Kyle's like, yeah, we're not really good, we're not really bad, baby steps. And Sutton kind of doesn't really talk about it much on her side of things. We kind of get into it a little bit later on, but that's kind of where we leave it here. That's it. Okay, so then this next scene we have Rachel, and she is this is where we get more into her personal story. She's with her son Kai, and Kai is a grown young man. He was saying the most mature, amazing things ever. And honestly, he was my favorite part of this episode. I love her son Kai. I was like, oh, he is so adorable. And I love how Rachel is straight, no chaser. She doesn't mince words. She says what she says, and that's that on that. And so we get into the story of one of the main things that broke down her marriage. And it turned out once they intermingled the personal with the work, that's when it went downhill. And then we saw all that beaming footage from her show from before of him, like, literally losing his stuff on the show. But apparently, I could only imagine what we're seeing on TV. Maybe that was him, it became him in real life. And she was like, yeah, towards the end, I didn't even know who I married. And we find out they were together for, like, I think 12 years before they even got married and had kids. No, 15. And then just for it to just still end. So they were together for a long time for it to just still end the way it did. So that's kind of crazy. And then we also find out that I guess Raj has a tendency of picking his current girlfriend over his kids, and and then also the breakdown of the relationship and how the girlfriend and them becoming separated, that timeline kind of overlapped. I'm like, oh, she kind of was throwing him under the bus ridiculously on this episode. I was like, I love it. Go in. Most housewives don't do that. Most housewives are protecting the man, even throughout separation. She's like, you know what? This is my truth. I'm putting it on the floor. I was like, not mad at it. Anyway, moving on. By the way, her son's adorable, Kai. I know I said it before, but we need to say it again because that was literally my favorite. Anyway, and she was cooking breakfast for him, but we also find out, I forgot to mention, she has 2 boys. So there's that. So then the next scene, though, we have Bose and Erica. They go out to dinner together, and we find out that Erica's big thing that's happened with her is she performed at this festival called Mighty Hoopla in the UK, and that was a big deal for her. And then she said that she was getting ready for that. That's around the same time where Tom basically gets sentenced to prison. And so we talk a little bit about that chapter ending with Erica, but that chapter isn't really over because I think allegedly she might be still dealing with lawsuits because of, all the shared assets of it all. So yeah, there's just a lot going on there. And so we move on kind of quickly because we already know Erica never wants to talk about herself. She's just on this show. It's like, anyway, Bozen talks about how they start talking about other people because Bose ain't really talking about herself either. So far this episode, she really didn't talk much about herself other than a little bit towards the end of the episode. So we talk about Sutton and how Sutton now doesn't, all her fallouts, and then also the fact that she actually doesn't get along with a lot of the women on the show. Like, Bose doesn't really see her like that. She's like, her inconsistency bothers me because she is inconsistent. Kyle, that's been given frenemy for years. And Dorit, we know Dorit can't stand her. And Erica, she wants to you can tell Erica really does want to like Sutton, but it's a similar situation. And Erica can't help but to shade her. So it's very nice, nasty. And so, yeah, both say the obvious. She doesn't have a lot of friends here. She's got to try to rebuild it. And what bothers me about we got this episode, and I kind of knew this was going to happen, instead of Sutton taking ownership, instead of Kyle taking ownership, they're all blaming the issues on Garcelle. And it's like, anyway, moving on. So then, last but not least, I said what I said when it comes to they're blaming the issues on Garcelle, when what was rich to me when it comes to the son of it all is like, girl, you have fell out with so many people. Avi has nothing to do with Garcelle. Okay? Garcelle, we have eyes. We saw why you fell out with Garcelle. I understood why. And I don't know. Now I'm not even fully believing the Christian situation, because last season Reba had more of Christian's back than she had her daughter's back. And if y'all don't, Pepperidge Farm remembers that. This season Reba's changing her tune a little bit, but what I'm thinking will really happen there is that Reba saw herself on TV and she's changing what she's saying a little bit, changing the program a little bit. I'm sorry, I just don't believe I don't believe it when it comes to Sutton, because I'm not feeling it. But anyway, this is going to be a rough season for Sun. I'm going to be wearing her out in these reviews. Which is why I was like, I don't know if y'all want to see this, but okay, I guess. But anyway, so we go into another Housewives montage. We see Bo's getting glammed up, getting ready for Kyle's event, because we found out at the luncheon that Kyle's going to be having basically a summer welcome to the summer event, which I'm going to be doing the same thing next year. I'm so excited. I'm going to have my patio furniture. I'm going to have all the stuff ready. I can't wait. But before we do that, I have a get together this weekend that I'm planning and hosting. Like, anyway, sorry. Watching events and hosting inspires me to want to do more of it, and therefore I have been trying to do more of it. So anyway, next. So besides that, Sudden is also getting glammed, and she FaceTimes Kyle, and they talk about Dorit. Sun's like, I'm not going to try to go there with Dorit. I'm going to try to come with different energy and consistency. And she's like, that's all I'm going to do. And Kyle's like, very good. Like, let's start off with a good foot here. And then fast forward, Kyle's hosting this event. We find out that besides the food, she's also going to have like flower making, like, situation where you can like make a flower crown for yourself, and then like a jar decorating thing, like very summery, very fun, very girly. And honestly, I was like, oh, this is so cute. You know what? Hold it. Okay, I'm at the event too, so I didn't want to tell you all this, but I actually was there as well. And this is what I made. I'm kidding, child. I didn't make this. But this is literally what they had going on. They had this kind of a situation going on. They're like, okay, it's summer. It's great. It's this, it's that. And so as they are as they're doing this, Erica arrives first. And then after Erica, Faye, along with her friend, who everyone thought was Dorit. And I was like, that is not Dorit. Dorit is like thinner than this woman. And it was some other lady. And then Dorit actually does show up. But I understood why they didn't see her, because it was very sunny. Her yard was extremely sunny, and they chose to stand at like the most sunniest point where you couldn't see anything. I knew they had to be burning up. I was burning up watching it on my screen. But then Bo shows up next, and then Kyle gets into who all she invited and who's all on the way. She's like, yeah, but we can go ahead and get started pretty soon, because Kathy is going to be running late. That's kind of what they get at. But then Sudden, and then she mentioned, yes, Sudden's going to be on her way here too. And then Dorit could not help herself but to be shady immediately. Like, who? Oh, I forgot about her. Well, I guess, as long as she hasn't started none, there won't be none. I was like, okay, Dorit. And this episode, Dorit did try it a couple times with Sudden. She really is trying to make a moment. And it's just like, Dorit, stop it. Just let the conversation flow. And I'm glad Sudden didn't take the bait. But anyway. So then Sun does arrive, and they were like, yeah, we were just talking about you, because they were talking about literally all of her friendship breakdown, like all her relationship breakdowns, all behind her back and stuff. But anyway. And so then, I forgot to mention, when Bo showed up, she showed up with her daughter and like her fiance. Well, at the time, boyfriend. Now is her fiance. And on the way there, he's like, are any of the other men's going to be there? She's like, these girls don't have any men's. And I was like, wow, this is like the real divorce club of Beverly Hills. All these women are like divorced. Bo's, I think, is the only one who technically didn't get a divorce. But her husband, passed on. Her late husband passed on. But yeah, it really is giving the real divorce wives of Beverly Hills. So it was kind of awkward that he was there, because who was he going to talk to? I mean, I'm sure Kyle invited other people, and clearly she did, so he probably was just hanging out. But it also kind of gave me a little pause because I'm just like, why is he coming? I don't know. I just have my good eye on him. I'm kind of like, But anyway, so, but yeah, they're all there. And we also find out from Bose that, they're still going strong. This was, I guess, her way of kind of letting us know they're still going strong. Things are still good between them. And that's kind of it. We did, this was kind of the only part where we kind of got something from Bose, is like her talking about her relationship with Cal. Anyway, so then we get right into it with Sun being there, talking about her relationship breakdowns. And Sun's like, yeah, it's just been a really, really rough year. Actually, Dorit was the one who first brought up the annulment situation. And Sun's like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. I'm going to do, all I can do is just choose happiness and to move on. That's it. And then the Garcelle thing comes up. And Dorit, you tried it. She's like, are you sure that Garcelle didn't see this see this more as an alliance versus a friendship? Dorit, you know damn well that's not what it was. Anyway. But then, of course, does Sutton own up to anything? Any of her part? No. And honestly, I'm at the point where I'm starting to think, like, I'm not even starting to think. I think Sutton is a problem when it comes to all her relationships, including her ex-husband. I think she's the problem. Because she doesn't give me consistent. She doesn't give me stable. I hate to throw all that out there. But she's all over the place. And to a certain degree, she's kind of self-centered. So I would not be surprised if she's the problem. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't want to go more into the Garcelle at all because you already know it was going to annoy me. But then Kyle also was like, I don't talk to her either. And I don't understand. I was like, of course, Kyle, you're going to say the same thing. But are we surprised Kyle's doing this? No. What bothers me is like, son, you were really, really actual close friends with her and you're taking no ownership to your part of what could have caused the breakdown. You took no ownership. And this is why she isn't talking to you. You basically are showing us why she won't talk to you. I wouldn't talk to you after this either. She didn't need to have a continuous conversation with you to get to the conclusion of where we're at. I should have wore this the whole entire review, even though I look ridiculous, but whatever, I don't care. But then Rachel and Kathy arrives, thank God, because I don't want to talk, quit talking about a woman who's not here anymore in the show. And that's also what annoyed me, is like, I wish Garcelle was there to say why. But also, too, she's reclaiming her time. So, why? Why be there? And of course, Erica took every moment to be like, of course she ain't gonna talk to me. And it's like, Erica, Garcelle legit has a reason to never talk to you. The way you disrespected her kids seasons ago, as Pepperidge Farm remembered, you should be lucky that your face is not messed up. I don't know. I would have caught a charge to just do a little after she was disrespecting my kids on national TV, just because she's decided to mix and mingle between the alcohol and the pills of it all. I don't care what the reasoning was for that. I would be anyway. See, I need to not get mad. But anyway, Rachel and Kathy arrives. Kathy does her Kathy thing where she randomly just has pants in her bag, but whatever. And it's pants she's going to give to Kyle. And then we start talking about Rachel's divorce. We kind of get to know her in that way. We also find out that Bose is friendly with her as well. Like, apparently she had Bose was on her podcast a year ago, so they know each other. And all the other women are just very excited to meet Rachel. And then we go from talking about Rachel's divorce to talking about Dorit's divorce, because of it's the discussion of the kids knowing versus the kids not knowing. In Rachel's case, the kids know and the kids are happy because at least she's living her truth. And Dorit's piece, Jagger knows because he has eyes, and the other. And so he's kind of being nonchalant about it. And then her daughter, I don't know, knows or not, but she still hasn't had the conversation with the kids yet. And all the women are still in the agreement, like she needs to have the conversation, at some point in time. But Dorit just isn't there yet. And, all the women kind of just start comparing war stories when it comes to the divorce of it all, because this is the real divorce wives of Beverly Hills. And then, because then we also get into Mo and him, dating everybody. And then Rachel's like, someone tried to fix me up with Mo and Aspen. And Rachel immediately shut down. She's like, yeah, no, that's not a good idea. Why would I do that? That's like Kyle's ex-husband. Like, no. And I don't think that's going to amount to anything, but what we all figured out in this episode, that Rachel is a straight shooter, even more of a straight shooter than Bose, which actually I love that. We need someone who's a little bit more of a straight shooter. Actually, you know what Rachel reminds me of, who was more of a straight shooter also before? Garcelle. Y'all already knew I was going to do that. But anyway, so then at the very end, Rachel's like, you need to, she's basically trying to coach life into these women. Like, your life is not over with because it's divorce. If anything, it's time for us ladies to be outside. We got to be outside. It's a hot girl summer. And Erica, in her confession, was like, my idea of a hot girl summer is not with any of these women. It's with a man and getting to it. And I'm like, that's part of it. You guys are both talking about parts of the equation to Hot Girl Summer. There's multiple layers when it comes to Hot Girl Summer. But anyway, that does conclude the episode. Like I said, I actually did end up enjoying the episode, so I'm glad I decided to watch and review it. Next time, the review will be on a little bit more on time. I just was hawing about, did I want to watch a show or not? And child, I'm invested. We back in here. But anyway, that does conclude the video. And this is, for those who don't remember, this is my favorite. She's not my favorite. Well, she's my favorite girl cat. Cyril is a male. So I have a boy girl cat. I have a boy cat and a girl cat. But anyway. I don't know if that picked up on the mic, but she's purring. But anyway, that does, and that was her way of saying hi. But that does conclude this episode of The Real Housewives and my review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.